Cool. We're officially recording. Again, thank you guys for being here. If this is your first knowledge drop, excuse me, I'll run through some of the basic stuff, but just to get through the housekeeping, then I'll pass the mic over to Arestia. But basically, as you guys are already doing, feel free to use the chat box and chat to each other as we go. Let us know, your thoughts as Arestia gets through her slide deck. Also, basically, there's a question and answer box there. So if you guys have questions that pop up during that part of the presentation, feel free to add them in there. And then hopefully at the end, we'll have like 5-10 minutes, something like that, to go through some actual live questions that you guys have for Arestia on this subject, which is awesome. And yeah, I'll let her introduce herself. But basically, I'm very excited. Long overdue topic, and she's the perfect person to cover it. Also, as I just mentioned, hit the record button. So this is getting recorded, and we will have this in the Knowledge Drop archive on our YouTube channel, essentially, for all of eternity, as long as the internet exists. And you guys can watch it, share it, rewatch it, whatever, get inspired again. And yeah, with all of that out of the way, let me pass it over to my girl. We go way back. She was in my community when I was first a program leader. Love this human being. And yeah, thanks for doing this, Arestia. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Trav. I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys my screen. We'll get into my slides. Okay.
Beautiful. Present mode.
Maybe I should start at the beginning. Is it going? Okay.
Usually a good place to start,
Usually a good place. Yeah, maybe I probably should have had this queued up better. Okay, hi, welcome to Creative Production Crash Course. Basically, gonna help you get inspired, get motivated, and give you the tools to actually get the things done that you said you wanted to get done. So a lot of people have a lot of good ideas, very few actually follow through. And I'll help you figure out how to do that with highlights and examples from my last 2 big creative projects that I did, which are a documentary and also a script that I wrote. Sorry, the chat box lined up. I'm not gonna be able to see that while I do this. So I'll give you those tools and tips to actually do, and I'll probably pat myself on the back along the way. And you'll know why. So why me? So I get things done. It's what I do. It's what I'm known for. It's why people hire me. I have 12+ years experience in the creative world as a filmmaker, creative director, writer. I've had films in big film festivals. I've won big prestigious ad awards. Basically, I make good shit. So hopefully I can help you make good shit too. Okay, so the first thing is you probably have a lot of ideas. And I don't care what anyone says, any hacks that you have to help get you more and more creative energy, it's finite as far as I'm concerned. And you only have so much of it in a day to give. So there's a lot of different things that you could make. And you probably have a lot of ideas of this book you want to write, or this event that you want to plan, or this film that you want to make. So what should you do? What should you make? Which one should you pick? I always say it's the ones that won't leave you alone. I call it my muse. It's the thing that won't shut up. It won't leave me alone. It keeps me up. It's the thing that literally I cannot stop thinking about. And that, for me, is the idea that is worth your attention. Don't waste your creative energy on the ones that you are only half excited about. Really, it's the ones that cannot leave you alone. That's what it was like when I wrote my feature film. It was an idea that I had for 10 years, and I never had the motivation to actually write it. I knew it was a good idea. I had worked in film. I had read a lot of scripts. I worked in development at a big studio. And so I knew it was a good idea, but I didn't really have the energy to do it until one night, month 3 on my remote year, we were in Bolivia, and I woke up like 2 a.m, wide awake, and had like a fever dream of ideas for this script. And so I just literally got out of bed, got my laptop, and I started writing the story points that were just flowing through my muse. And then I didn't pick it back up again until month 8, when I was like, we have 4 months left. I had all these ideas and ambitions for this remote year of things I wanted to create, and I haven't really followed through on that. And now is the time. So I spent the next 4 months writing that feature film. It was the same with the short documentary. Actually, in month 11, we had come across this organization at a junction. I don't know if you guys still do this. It's a networking event that we did called Tiny Toones, and it was a hip hop and breakdancing school for street kids. And a bunch of us went to the school, and I met the founder, and I heard his story. I thought, wow, that's a really great story. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it for like 6 months until I finally was like, shit, I think I have to make this documentary. And so I did. So the first thing you need to do is planning. This is essential. This is actually, when I was creating this presentation, I thought this is why I plan so much, because I'm human and I make mistakes often, but this is kind of what catches me. So the first thing you want to do when you bring, when you're thinking about your project, is to plan. You don't have to do anything yet, but what are all the things that you are going to have to do? And this is what's going to help sustain the energy that you'll need throughout this process. Because I said that energy is finite. So you really want to take advantage of it and harness it when you have it. So what kind of expertise do you need? So if this is something you've never done before, or you are shaky on, or even you are really good at it, maybe, it's very important to seek out people that have done it or are good at it themselves. So talk to experts. You know, for me, I talked to a lot of filmmakers that I admired. I had made a lot of documentaries. I had produced a lot of documentaries on my own, but I had budgets and I had support, and this was going to be just me out there alone. And so I wanted to talk to a lot of people that had been in that situation as well. I also went to film school, so that helps. But if you need to take some classes, maybe there's a lot of online resources. It's not a bad idea to brush up on some expertise. And then what are the tools and software do you need? You know, do you need screenwriting software? Do you need some sort of design kit? Do you need camera equipment? You know, what are the actual things that you need to bring this to life? And then who's going to be on your team? Who are the people that can support you through this, whether that be actively as in a crew or a writing partner, or an event planning team, or just people that can help support you. That's going to become really important as well. And then what is your timeline to finish? So the calendar, which I'll talk about later, is everything, but what are you aiming for? You know, for me, I wanted to get a script done by the end of remote year. So I said, okay, I have 4 months. Maybe there's a contest that you want to enter. That can be really important if there's awards that you're trying to win, or if it's an event, maybe there's some sort of deadline that you need to hit. What is that deadline? If there is no deadline, what is a reasonable amount of time for you to finish this project in? It's important for you to have a finish line, because seeing the finish line is also essential to actually finishing. So identify that. Okay, then we'll go into pre-production. This is my Cambodia crew on the left from my documentary. When I realized, okay, I think I'm going to start to do this, I talked to my friend Josh Sheftel, whose quote that is up front. He is a very talented documentary filmmaker. I'd produced a film that he directed, and I said, I think I'm going to do this thing, and I don't really know if I can, but I know that I really want to. And he said, look, there's no glory in short documentaries. So basically you just start to see if you can do it, and then you'll find yourself in the middle of doing it. So that's what I did. I started to chip away at some of these pieces to even see if it was possible, until I realized I was in the middle of doing it. So now it's time to actually start doing those things that you started to plan. And this is really a checklist. It's taking everything it's taking that list of planning and all of the steps that it's going to take to complete, and really making just a checklist, and be as detailed as possible. So do you need to hire those people, right? Have you talked to some of those teammates, or do you need to enroll help? I spoke to a filmmaker in Phnom Penh that I knew, and said, hey, I'm going to come to Phnom Penh and make this film. It's important for me to hire a local crew. He said, awesome. I have a DP that is really talented. That's P said on the left. And he said, I also have camera equipment that you can borrow, which was incredibly generous. And I talked to Chenda, who's 2 down from me on the left. She was actually a city leader in Phnom Penh for remote year. But while I was there, I just gotten to know her. I really liked her. And in our chats, she had mentioned casually that she had been a fixer for BBC for a couple things. So I got back in touch with her and said, I need a fixer, I need a sound guy, I need a van, I need all these things. I told her my checklist for her. She said, great, I can do it all. And she actually also hired Smee, who's also a city manager next to me, as my production assistant and translator. So, people really, when they see that you have passion, want to help. So ask for the help, hire the people that you need, buy those things that you need, buy that screenwriting software, make sure you have all the things that it's now time for you to purchase. And then create a robust calendar. So you have the finish line, but you need to create and calendar out when you're going to do everything else on that checklist by when. So, for me, with writing the script, I knew I needed to put myself on a schedule. And I decided I was going to write 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week. If I felt like writing longer than 30 minutes a day, I did, which is important too. Lean into that creative energy. If I didn't, I didn't, but I still wrote 30 minutes a day. So you want to create a calendar that basically holds you accountable, that this is what you say you're going to do everything on that checklist by when. And that's going to become essential to keep you going towards your goal. Also, you want to do an outline or some sort of mapping. So not only is it the to-do list of the things that you have to do, but create a map of what you're making. So in a script, it's an outline. I had 5 acts, I had story points, so that when it came time for me to write the script, I already knew where I was going and what I was doing. For the film, I was creating a shoot schedule, story points, things I knew I wanted to capture. So I was creating a plan for actually executing on the item. Also tell people. I know that sounds silly, but if you start telling people that this is a thing that you're going to make, this is something that you are working toward, it gives you not only energy, but it helps you be held accountable too. They'll check in a lot. I can't tell you how many people are always like, how's the film going? Which is fun, but good. And then also, do you need anything else to get this done? In my case, I needed money. So I needed to create a fundraising page and a video. You might need that as well. So I'm going to show you it right now. Give me a second. So this is my fundraising page from Indiegogo. I made damn near my goal, which I'm really proud of. I'll play you my video in a second. I just want to walk you through the rest of it first. So, I knew what I wanted to accomplish. I created this overview about it. Why me? Why am I making this? Which is really important for backers to know. What the money is going toward. So I also, in fundraising for this film, wanted 10% to go directly to Tiny Toones, to the school. And I let people know what that money covers and what everything else was going toward. Why this story was important to me, my team, which is really good too. So people can see that I had these people behind me. And then also these incentives over here. Which people love. So depending on how much you donated, you had these incentives. All right, I'm going to play you my little film. I have to disc. And off. Oops.
Tiny Toones is a hip-hop and breakdancing school in Phnom Penh, Cambodia for at-risk and impoverished youth. It uses dance to engage students into an education they wouldn't otherwise receive, and offers classes in other subjects such as English and computers. Most importantly, it gives kids confidence, a way out of poverty, and the ability to pursue their dreams. My name's Arestia R, and while I was traveling in Cambodia, I discovered Tiny Toones and fell absolutely in love with these Khmer kids and everything the school was doing for them. These kids were also seriously good dancers. I mean, I was really impressed. But it's when I talked to the founder, KK, more about how the school started, I knew I had to make this film. Born in a Thai refugee camp, KK immigrated legally to America and grew up in the Los Angeles projects. It was there that he fell into gang violence and went to jail. When he got out, he was immediately deported back to Cambodia, a country he'd never even been to and no longer had any family in. But word spread fast that KK was a breakdancer, and kids started just showing up at his door asking him to teach them. He saw that they were in gangs and into drugs and weren't going to school, and he realized without any guidance, they would end up just like him. He had to teach them. Now, Tiny Toones is what it is today, with 100 students showing up every day, ready to dance and ready to learn, and former students performing internationally and coming back to teach. I'm going back to Cambodia to make a short documentary to tell this incredible story about a school that exists solely on donations, which is why 10% of every dollar we raise will go directly to Tiny Toones. I have an incredible team behind me, but I still need your help. The $15,000 we raise will go toward paying the Khmer crew their fair wages, as well as production costs such as equipment, travel, and film festival fees. So please, Help me tell this beautiful, uplifting, totally cool story and donate. Thank you.
So good.
So that's my fundraising video. That footage of those kids dancing are from that junction we took at the remote year. Before I even knew I was going to make this film, I had taken video, thank God, and photos from another person. I had a team help me put it together. I mean, I can shoot now.
Back on mute somehow.
Oh,
There you go.
okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just getting the right people together to shoot that film. Because obviously I can't shoot myself. I had to write the script, get everything together. If you're fundraising, we can talk more about that, but that video is essential. I learned. Okay, moving along. Production. Go forth and make. Stick to your plan. So the reason you spent all of that planning together is because there are going to be days that you are going to want to Netflix, and your lizard brain will tell you, why are you doing this? You are not good enough. It is inevitable. It is part of the creative process to hate yourself a little bit. So that's why you have put all these systems in place to not allow that get the best of you. So stick to your plan. Do not stray. It is all in place. Now you just have to follow it. Just every day, what that calendar says, do it. Don't think about it. Just follow it. Just make. Okay, post-production. So this is important, not only to finish it and finish it strong, but it's time to actually show it and get it out there. Show your work. That's what Austin Kleon says. He's a creative hack. If you know him, show your work. So talk to people, you know, to get partnerships. Maybe that there's some ways for you to collaborate together on this for you to get more eyes on it. Enter it into contests. Send it to other artists you admire. Perhaps they have advice for you. They might share it. You never know, to their followers. And also say thank you to those that helped you. So this photo is a table reading I did of my script on remote year in our very last month. Everyone came together, read parts. It was really great for me to hear it out loud. I bought everyone pizza. Just was very grateful to have people help bring that to life. And then also, as I said, there's gonna be back patting, pat your back. You have created something, and regardless if it, you know, won awards, you know, made you $1 million, whatever, you said that you were going to do something and you did it. And very, very few people do that. I think we know a lot of people that say that they're idea men, but I'm much more proud of people that actually can execute, and you should be too, because that is far, far more difficult. Okay, so some takeaways. Just remember, planning is everything. So set up systems to follow, actually follow those systems. Do not let your brain get in the way. Do not let you trick yourself into not following through. Just become a robot and follow the plan. Get the right people on your team. It is not a solo sport, even if you have that idea alone. You know, find mentors, find people to help support you, bring your vision to life, or even just someone to check in with you regularly, making sure you're doing what you said you're going to do. And then also let your light shine. I know it is hard and embarrassing to show people something and say, please love me for this, but it might as well have just stayed in your brain if you don't actually put it out there and see what people think. This is one of my favorite quotes by George Burns. I honestly think it is better to be a failure at something you love and to be successful at something you hate. So don't let the fear of doing something get in the way of actually doing it. Again, I know it can be really scary to open up your heart and show a little bit of your soul by making something and having people look at it, but it's better to just do it and not worry about what other people think. That's me. Oh, I'm going to show you, Travis and I decided, I'm going to show you a little bit of my...
You gotta give them a teaser. I've never been so personally excited for a documentary to come out. Yeah, these kids are awesome.
Yeah, me too. I'm just going to show the first minute here. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yep, you got it.
All right.
Yes.
So that is the first cut of a very long cut that is still rough. So don't hold me.
Why don't you, oh yeah, leave this up for a sec. Contact info. And I think, as you mentioned, you're open to people reaching out if they're also, you know, in the creative process looking for a bit of advice.
Yeah, I know that this was like a very broad, that's why we called it a crash course, you know, because there's a lot of specific projects that you're doing, but really I just wanted to give you a map to how to finish stuff and how to actually follow through on those things. So.
Awesome. This is great. And not just because I'm in the picture at the end here, but I'm like very, very into, what you've been working on and like, trying to motivate people to do the same and follow through and get stuff done. I just think it's awesome. Why don't you jump out of screen share and we'll just go back to our two little faces here in the Zoom room. And we got a few questions that came in as you were going, which is exciting. So let's jump into those. So Paul is asking, you mentioned that you started your script in month 3 and then you put it down until month 8. What advice do you have for maintaining motivation and attention on some of these long-term projects that feel like a heavy lift?
Wait, sorry, ask that again. One more time.
So she was saying she caught in your story that you started in month 3, but then kind of put it down until month 8 and then like got remotivated. But like, how do you recommend that people like maintain motivation and attention for a project that you already know going into it? It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a heavy lift. Like, how do you maintain motivation?
Yeah, I think that's why I, you know, like when writing the script, I didn't say I'm going to write 7 days a week for 30 minutes. That's insane. I'm not going to do that. I know myself, but I also know that like, it would be really easy for me to say to do 2, right? So 4 felt, so it's somewhere in between of where you're pushing yourself, but also not doing something that you know is insane. And that's why you also calendar out, you know, what's doable, right? In a week or in a month or however long that you're telling yourself like, okay, I want to finish this in 4 months because I want to finish it by the end of remote year, or I need to finish this in X months because I want to enter it into something. It's basically, you know, finding that sweet spot between like what's doable and pushing yourself, because when you push yourself, it gives you that momentum to keep moving forward as well, versus just kind of resting on I'm able to.
Totally. It's like be honest with yourself, tiny victories, that kind of feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, but not too hard.
When I started like writing this book that I'm trying to write right now, like I remember it was Marina actually at the Citizens House, and like I told myself like write 1 chapter worth reading, which felt like doable even though I'm busy, but I was like I can do that. So like it was kind of like that same thing.
Yeah.
Another question from Adam Aronson. He said, in the creation of the fundraising page, any experience with thoughts on Patreon? It seems like Indiegogo is more geared towards a one-time project, whereas Patreon seems to be gaining momentum for artists and creators that are looking to create ongoing work. So yeah, have you had any experience with Patreon? What's your take?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I definitely, if you're fundraising, pick the platform that works for you. You know, Kickstarter, Indiegogo were actually the 2 that I was looking at. You know, I decided to go for Indiegogo because you still get the money if you don't achieve the goal. And it was too scary for me to think about, because in the beginning I thought no one would support this. And I actually was going to pay for it all on my own, which don't do. A really good, again, as part of my expertise phase, I was talking to a producer and I said, I think I could do it for really cheap. I think I'll just pay for it. And he was like, don't be an idiot, ask people for money. And I'm really glad he did, because it was twice as much as I thought it was going to cost. So I chose to go Indiegogo route to get the money still. The fees still bite you in the ass, man. But I'm glad I did that. You know, Patreon, I don't know a ton about ongoing work. I know Indiegogo, if you meet your fundraising campaign, you can still, if you meet the amount, people can still donate to that page. I'm not able to do that. So I don't have a lot of experience on that, but definitely pick the platform that's right for you for sure. I did research on that.
Awesome. And then we got a question from Becca. She's asking, what was the marketing process like for getting the word out of the fundraising and the documentary itself? Like, how did you was it like grassroots, or like, how did you get the word out? How'd you spread the fundraising page around and all that?
Yeah, I became a shameless person. And just, again, I turned off the emotion in my brain, which I'm not really good at, by the way, but I made myself. It's funny. You get kind of blinder. You have to get blinders on. You're like, I can't worry about what anyone says. I just have to keep following the plan I said I was going to do. I really believe in that. So I did a couple things. So Indiegogo actually had a lot of really good resources about like how to be successful at fundraising, and I followed those practices. I also talked to a friend that had just finished her Indiegogo campaign for her documentary and just was like, what did you learn? Again, that expertise phase, and that was really helpful. And she helped me do my incentives in a way that I thought worked really well. So again, I planned to be successful in that regard. And then to get the word out, I got shameless. You know, you probably saw it in Slack. You probably like heard about it. I emailed everyone I ever knew and met, not only in the business, but beyond. And I emailed every week like a crazy person. I like shared on my Instagram. If you go not too far back on my Instagram, because I don't really share a ton, you can see like all the posts I did. I did a post every day, sometimes twice a day on Instagram I did prize giveaways. I shared about my crew. Like I created content on all of my platforms. I asked people to share, just really everything I could think of to ask people, have people share, get the word out. I did as well, as well as follow those best practices.
Yeah, and it's like an expression you've used a few times. Like you leaned in, like you didn't back away. You was like committed to like making it successful.
Committed. Yeah. And it also goes back to that first step of, you know, you're not gonna be able to or want to be shameless or, you know, really put everything into this thing if it's not the right idea. This was the right idea. I was not, even though I had a little bit of the ick feeling of asking everyone I knew for money, I didn't care. It was the right choice for me. I had to make it. I had to. So it kind of also goes back to that first step of like, only make the stuff that you're really, really invested in.
And also, you're like, you know, I ended up donating, and like as a donor, it's like I believe that you were going to do this. So it's like I felt like, you know, like you can feel when somebody really cares about the project and they're committed, because like it made me want to like contribute to that like energy and the effort that you were putting in. So
yeah, the language that I used in that fundraising video was very deliberate. If you go back and watch it, you'll notice I never say like, I hope I can do this. I say like, I'm doing this. Like whether or not you give money, I'm doing this. And people can really feel that conviction because I believed it. I did. And I put thousands of dollars of my own money into this project. That's how committed I was. And I think people can feel that. So again, it's like, it's creating that right thing. And and people can sense that.
All right, one last question. We got one from Dom from Denali. He's asking, for those of us who didn't start on the creative side and aren't willing to necessarily dive wholeheartedly into a side project, I got RY bills to pay. What incremental steps can we make towards to move us towards a project? Like, how do we plan for the right size and scope?
Yeah, and I think moving slow in that case is great. You know, I've had things take me a lot longer because I'm working on them on the side. My film is frankly going a lot slower than I would like it for that very reason. So that planning phase can take as long as it needs to be. Again, it's nice to have a finish line. You know, if you're saying, I can't do it this year, I'm on remote year, that's fine. Plan to do it next year, but now start to plan to make. So what are all the things that you can do right now? If you can't dive fully into making it, what are all the things that you can do now to set up for success? Is it setting up those calls and those coffees with people that are creatives that you can talk to? I always say like gathering information from people that have done it before you is invaluable. So you can do that now. You can set up those, like once a week, you can talk to someone new. You can start to think about, you know, all the different things that you do need to put together when you are ready and start to plan to be successful. It's so like, I cannot stress enough that the planning phase is everything, because it will give you a map, it will give you confidence, it will give you momentum. It's the deal. It's the deal.
And that's honestly a perfect segue to close this down, because like joining this knowledge drop is like one of those things. Like, you know, you're like getting motivated, you're getting inspired, you're getting ideas, and like, you know, like Arestia said, reach out to her and maybe, you know, grab a virtual coffee with her and get even more inspired and like, you know, talk further with somebody that's been through this, done it before. Yeah, those are good little steps that you can start taking on your journey.
Don't get
Cool.
overwhelmed. That's why you break it down. I mean, you will get overwhelmed, but don't think about all that. Just remember, focus on the list, on the calendar, one thing at a time.
I love that. And I love that friend of yours' advice of like, just see if you can do it, then you'll find yourself in the middle of doing it. Like that's such good advice for a project that feels a bit intimidating or something. So yeah. All right, let's close it down. Thanks so much, Arestia. Thanks for everybody for joining us. And
I'm happy to answer questions.
Ciao, y'all. Have a lovely Wednesday. We'll see you back in 2 weeks with the next knowledge drop. Peace.